welcome back. I'm Deziel and today we're doing bodice pivoting again. If you want to follow me, they come from my little PDF document and we're doing the style 202 C and D. We're going to start with the 202 C. That one has a center front seam. For this style, we will pivot the shoulder dart and the waist dart into that one single dart from the center front towards the apex. It's going to be a straight dart that gives a little military look. The first thing we'll do is put the ruler on the bodice, square at the center front, touching the pivot, and we will put a little reference on the contour. This is exactly where we want to send both shoulder dart and waist dart. We will start exactly like we did for the last pivoting. We will start where we want the dart to be and we'll move clockwise. We'll trace until the first notch at the shoulder and we stop there. Now hold the pivot and close the shoulder dart. Bring the second notch over the first one. We could now continue to trace from that notch, always in the same direction. We trace until the first notch of the waist dart. Then you're going to hold the pivot and bring the second notch over the first one, just like we did for the shoulder. Then we'll be able to trace from that notch all the way to the mark that we did on the contour, the position of the new dart. Before to remove your block, you make sure that you indicate your pivot. Like we did for the other pivoting, we're going to find the center of the opening of the new dart and we're going to connect with the original pivot. The shorter is the dart, the less we should move the pivot, the new pivot. So here I'm just going to go with the basic 2 centimeter or 3/4 of an inch. Then you just retrace the new dart. Now what we have left to do is to fold the dart to find the jug or the arrow of the dart. And since this dart is more like horizontal, I'm going to start folding with the bottom line. Then you hold your pivot and you bring the bottom line over the top one. Now we just have to trace the new jug. For this one, I'm just going to erase my shoulder notch and my waist notch. Now for the style 202C, I would put my seam allowance all around and I would choose between the two grain line, two possibility, or I keep my bodice parallel to the bottom center front or to the top one. And the last thing I would be missing is my punch hole that I would put 1 centimeter inside the dart. Then when your seam allowance is added to the contour all around, the only thing you'll be missing are the notches for the new dart. And the bodice is, of course, cut 1 pair. We're ready for the 202D. For that style, we'll send both dart, shoulder and waist dart at the neckline. It's a style that I really like and that you see very often in the vintage garment. Now, like you must know, the first thing is again to find where we want to send those darts. Here I don't have to give you measurement because it's all matter of style. All the position in the neckline are good. I like to use the first third of the neckline, but it's really matter of style. And when you know where to send it, you just do a little mark on your block. Now for this one, I'm going to change the direction that I trace. So I'm tracing counterclockwise. I'm going to start at my mark and I'm going to go down until the first notch of the waist dart because this is a big area that is going to remain fixed. I suppose that you do understand you could have started, or I could have started tracing the other way around and do my tracing clockwise, and it would work exactly the same. The only reason that I start the other way around for this one, it's because I like to keep a big part fixed. It gives me a better idea of where my bodice is going. For the rest of the step, you'll see it's the same thing, except for the direction I'm pivoting. So I'm going to hold my pivot and bring the second notch over the first one. I'm going to trace all the way until the first notch of the shoulder dart. Then, same thing, we're going to bring the second notch over the first one. And we're going to continue tracing until the starting point. Don't forget to indicate the pivot. Now we're going to find the center of that large opening. Now we're going to do the dotted line from this halfway to the original pivot. Here I'm going to do my basic 2 centimeter or 3/4 of an inch. We're going to trace the new dart. Now for this style, I'm going to show you what I call empty the dart. Instead of folding and having the big jog, I'm going to show you how to empty the dart and keep only a seam allowance on each side. So in that case, you're not going to need a punch hole. So I will erase my shoulder and my waist notch. Then I'm going to add my seam allowance all around. Don't forget also to put seam allowance inside the dart on each side of the dart. We don't need seam allowance at the center front because it's going to be on the fold of the fabric. Now I'm just going to cut my pattern piece. There you go, both patterns are finished. And now you could see why I say we empty the dart, because there's no fabric inside except for the seam allowance. So no notch, no punch hole. To sew, we just have to put them one over the other and do a normal seam. That's it for today. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching and I see you soon.